The Starship Captain's Journey. Captain D.balf stood on the command bridge of his colossal dreadnought, the Stardust Drifter. Its cobalt blue hull shimmered against the blackness of space. On the main view screen, the planet Nibiru hung like a brooding jewel. But something was wrong, terribly wrong. Without warning, the planet shuddered. Its orbit shifted, its trajectory bending in an impossible arc. "Helm, report." D.balf's voice was calm, but carried the weight of command. "It's accelerating, Captain," an officer replied, her voice tight with disbelief. "Its new course, it's heading directly for Earth." "Follow it," D.balf ordered, his gaze fixed on the runaway world, maximum pursuit. The Stardust Drifter surged forward, its engines a low hum that vibrated through the deck. As they drew closer, the ship's powerful sensors peeled back Nibiru's atmosphere, revealing an impossible sight. An entire city, forged from gleaming gold, covered a vast portion of the planet's surface. And at its heart, two massive thrusters, mountains of metal and energy, were firing with unimaginable force, pushing the entire world through the void. "It's not a planet," D.balf whispered. "It's a weapon." As if sensing their discovery, 3 colossal golden warships in the shape of pyramids detached from the city. They moved with a predator's grace, closing the distance to the Stardust Drifter. "Red alert," D.balf commanded. "Shields up, all hands to battle stations." The enemy ships fired first. Tendrils of energy, like cosmic kraken, shot from their hulls. "Kraken missiles incoming," shouted Anya from the weapons console. "Activate the cobalt cannons," D.balf ordered, his voice cutting through the tension. "Target their lead ship. Fire the main beam." From the top of the Stardust Drifter, a colossal triple-barreled cannon emerged. The uppermost barrel glowed with an intense cobalt light before unleashing a beam of pure magic. The beam struck the lead pyramid, and its shields flickered and died. Instantly, the other 2 cannons fired, launching huge balls of cobalt energy that slammed into the unshielded ships, decimating them in silent, brilliant explosions. The victory was short-lived. Suddenly, the space around Nibiru warped, and hundreds of new contacts appeared on the screen. Hundreds of Anunnaki ships, even bigger and more heavily armed than the first 3, dropped out of hyperspace, their golden hulls a terrifying constellation. A major assault was beginning. "They're firing everything they have," Anya yelled over the roar of impacts against the shields. "Kraken cannons, missiles, lasers." D.balf remained steadfast. "Return fire." Constant barrage from the cobalt cannon. "Anya, activate the railguns." Thousands of hidden gun bays opened along the dreadnought's hull. "And deploy the Greyhawk drones, all 5,000 of them." The battle raged. The Stardust Drifter was a lone cobalt wolf against a golden tide. Gryphon cannons spat fire, railguns sent slugs of metal screaming through the void, and the ultimate cobalt cannon fired again and again. Greyhawk drones swarmed the enemy. The shields were holding at 70%, but the Anunnaki pressed their attack, relentless and overwhelming. D.balf stood on his bridge, a captain against an armada, ready to fight to the very last. The bridge screamed with alarms. Explosions blossomed against the forward view screen, each impact sending a violent shudder through the deck. "Shields at 40%, Anya cried out, her fingers a blur over her console. "They're concentrating fire on our primary emitters." D.balf gripped the command chair, his knuckles white. The Golden Armada was a wall of unrelenting fire. "We can't win a war of attrition," D.balf said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Anya, reroute auxiliary power to the forward Griffin cannons. Target the destroyers on their flank. I want a hole in their line now. The Griffin cannons roared, spitting streams of incandescent energy into the Anunnaki flank. 2 golden destroyers vanished in silent detonations. A gap appeared. But the power drain was immense. Lights flickered across the bridge, and the hum of the engines faltered for a terrifying second. Through the newly created gap, a horrifying sight emerged. A ship, if it could be called that, dwarfing all others. It wasn't a pyramid, but a vast, golden throne, a vessel of pure command and power. A beam of energy, thicker than the Stardust Drifter itself, began to form at its heart. "Brace for impact," D.balf yelled. The beam struck. It wasn't an explosion. It was an erasure. A section of the Stardust Drifter's forward shields simply ceased to exist. The raw energy tore through the outer hull, the scream of twisting metal echoing through the ship. "Shields at 5%. Hull breach on decks 7 through 9, the helm officer reported, his voice strained. Anya looked up from her console, her face pale. "Captain, the primary focusing lens for the Cobalt cannon is fractured. It's offline. The heart of their ship, their ultimate weapon, was broken." Silence hung on the bridge, heavy and suffocating. Then, D.balf spoke, his voice low but clear. "They think they've crippled us. They're wrong." He turned to Anya. "Recall the Greyhawks. All of them. Program them to form a focusing array. If our lens is broken, we'll build a new one." Anya stared at him. "Captain, the energy feedback could destroy every drone. The calculations for that array, we'd need to do them in seconds, under fire." "I know," D.balf said, meeting her gaze. "But it's the only shot we have. Can you do it?" Outside, the 5,000 Greyhawk drones disengaged from their dogfights and streaked back towards the Stardust Drifter. They began to weave an intricate, shimmering net in front of the damaged Cobalt cannon. Seeing the retreat, the Anunnaki ships surged forward, hungry for the kill. Almost there, Anya muttered, her eyes locked on the cascading lines of code on her screen. Another direct hit rocked the ship, and her console went dark for a heart-stopping moment before rebooting. "They've breached the aft shields. Engineering is venting plasma." "Array is formed," Anya shouted. "It's unstable, Captain. I can't hold it for long." On the view screen, the drones had created a massive, concave lens of pure energy, glowing with a soft, cobalt light. It pulsed, a fragile shield against the void. The throne ship's weapon was glowing again, preparing for the final blow. "Helm, bring us nose to nose with that throne," D.balf commanded. "Anya, fire the Cobalt cannon. Pour everything we have left into that shot." The Stardust Drifter unleashed its heart. The Cobalt beam, raw and unfocused, slammed into the drone-made lens. The lens didn't just focus the beam, it amplified it, supercharging it. A torrent of energy, 1,000 times more powerful than before, erupted from the array. The supercharged beam crossed the void in an instant. It didn't just strike the golden throne, it pierced it. The massive vessel shuddered, and cracks of pure cobalt energy spread across its hull like lightning. For a moment, it shone like a new star, and then it imploded, collapsing in on itself in a silent, catastrophic flash. The shockwave of the implosion washed over the battlefield, sending the remaining Anunnaki ships tumbling. Their command structure was shattered. Confusion turned to panic, and the golden tide broke, scattering and fleeing into the darkness. On the bridge of the battered Stardust Drifter, there was only silence and the faint, triumphant glow of the Earth, now safe, on the view screen.